Zulgad. We have Declan Goff in the house here. Before we dive into an alternate reality episode of Purple Daily, thanks to everyone who has given us a 5-star rating or review on the Purple Daily podcast feed. Apple is the best spot to give ratings, or if you listen on a platform that allows you to give ratings, it helps us spread the word about the show, keep the Score North dream alive, and connect with advertisers if you give the show a positive review. Also, click the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ScoreNorth daily Vikings content. And gentlemen, we like to go back in time and play out different scenarios in reverse or sideways. And so let's call this an alternate reality edition of Purple Daily. You guys sort of stumbled into this conversation on the Mackey and Judd Happy Hour podcast.
No, the
Apple, Spotify.
The after show.
The after show.
The after show.
Okay.
Not to be confused.
So you guys weren't drinking at work.
Okay. Not yet. Not yet.
We never drink at work. We just drink online.
That's right.
So set up this alternate reality for us here, if you will.
So this actually came on the show. I think it was last Tuesday, Declan. And I think you brought it up originally. And it was what? It was Culpepper or Teddy in the alternate reality if they don't get injured. And this is open for interpretation.
Yeah.
But my interpretation was if they don't get hurt and things continue to go swimmingly for them as Viking quarterbacks, my interpretation was let's play that out through the years that would have come then for them. So in Daunte's world, Childress gets the job here. Brad sees Daunte as his franchise QB, which he, by the way, did. And Daunte continues to play with a good knee into 2006 for Brad and continues on until basically in the alternate reality world, you say he stops. Or in Teddy's case, Teddy doesn't get hurt at the end of training camp in 2000. What was that, 16 or 16? Yeah, 16. And Teddy continues to play, and he's the quarterback in 2017 with a very special Vikings team. And so Dex and I both weighed in on how we thought that would have gone and who we thought might have actually won or gone to a Super Bowl. But since we gave our opinions, I'd be curious to hear yours in the alternate reality universe of what could have been with Daunte Culpepper and Theodore Bridgewater.
All right.
The floor is yours.
And I love this question because
give Declan credit.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Nice job with that one.
Not only I need positive reinforcement.
Sports son, I'm very proud of him.
Thank you.
Let's start with the healthy Teddy angle here. From 2015 through 2019 is the stretch that we're talking about, and he's still in his prime. And we're finally going to get to see healthy starting quarterback Teddy in Carolina just to sort of see, all right, is he a franchise quarterback? Is he not? And maybe we can stop arguing about this. But I think Bridgewater is a rich man's Alex Smith. Think of Alex Smith at his best, and I think Bridgewater would have been that much earlier than Alex. It took Alex Smith like 7 years to even figure out really how to do anything. And some of it was bad infrastructure in San Francisco, and once Jim Harbaugh came along, and then Andy Reid comes along in Kansas City, like now he's got, people make fun of Jim Harbaugh, but like Jim Harbaugh did a damn good job for 4 years with San Francisco and turned Alex Smith into a franchise guy, and then Colin Kaepernick, et cetera. So I think all of the different attributes Alex Smith has, I think Teddy Bridgewater has them as well, and maybe even more of them. I think Bridgewater is reliable. His main focus is on not making a mistake, just like Alex Smith. So he's not going to get out there and just like sabotage a game for you. Mm-hmm. Not that he's not going to throw an interception or fumble, but like Bridgewater's not going to pull a Jameis Winston on you or a Brett Favre and just like go rogue and throw 6 interceptions because you felt like gunslinging on that day, right? Now, on the other side, he's not going to be the guy that goes out there necessarily and puts a team on his back like Tom Brady or like Russell Wilson is forced to do in the fourth quarters. Also, Alex Smith and Teddy Bridgewater both share a little bit of clutch gene. If you look at Bridgewater on third down, fourth quarters, small sample size, but Bridgewater has some winning DNA and clutch gene in him that Kirk Cousins hasn't had as much of in his career. Alex Smith, go look at some of his playoff performances. Like that dude, 14 touchdowns in the playoffs, 2 interceptions, big win in San Francisco to put the 49ers into the Super Bowl in 2012. Couple big wins and big offensive performances in Kansas. So I just think Alex Smith, Teddy Bridgewater, kind of the same guy. If you had that type of a quarterback in, let's say, either 2017 NFC title game against the Eagles or last year, let's say in San Francisco, would those games have been different? I don't think the San Francisco game is different last year. And I don't think Kirk Cousins is like Kirk Cousins wasn't able to overcome defensive pressure the way that maybe a mobile quarterback would, and Bridgewater's not that mobile. I don't think that game is very different. I do think the 2017 NFC Championship game is very different.
This is where I went.
That defense was bad in that game for the Vikings.
Yep.
But that game started off so well. Adam Thielen scored the touchdown, right? Or was it Rudolph? One of those guys scored the touchdown the first drive.
Kyle Rudolph.
White guy with yellow gloves. Like one of those guys scored the touchdown in the first drive.
Bigger white guy.
And then the Vikings gave the game right back to Philadelphia with a boneheaded interception by Case Keenum. And Keenum had a magical year, and it was a great first drive. But that interception was so bad. Like fading backwards, just throws a prayer pass, arm gets batted. Like
cross field, basically.
No reason to throw that pass.
Yep.
Eagles pick it off, run it back the other way, and the momentum and the game shifts. Teddy Bridgewater does not throw that interception.
Yeah.
If that interception is not thrown, do the Vikings go down on that drive and even kick a field? Do they go up 10-0 in that game? I'm not guaranteeing that they would have won, and I do think that team gets beat by the Patriots in the Super Bowl. But I think they get to the Super Bowl if they don't throw that interception. So, alternate reality, if Teddy Bridgewater was the quarterback, does he have the same statistics that Case Keenum has that season? I don't know. I know that he doesn't throw that interception in that spot. So I will say that.
Basically, we came to I believe, on Teddy, the exact same conclusion. 2000, and in fact, of both the guys that we're talking about here, the season and the one situation that gets altered the most is that game.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't find a Culpepper equivalent, but I do think that when we're talking about that season and that game and the fact that Mike Zimmer spent that whole season trying to tell you people, this is coming, something bad is coming. Seriously, he basically was airing a warning sign after every game, and I know that Keenum's arm got hit, but the interception that got returned for the touchdown in Philadelphia was what Mike feared. That's not Teddy.
Yeah.
I think that team, I'm with you. That game is different, and that team, alternate reality, makes the Super Bowl.
So I'm just going through the box score again here for that game. So the Vikings jump out, 25-yard touchdown pass to Kyle Rudolph. They're rocking and rolling. The Eagles come back and they get a first down, but then they go 3 and out right afterwards.
Yeah.
So Vikings get the ball back. There's 6 minutes to go in the first quarter. They're midfield at this point. They're at the 43-yard line.
Great shape right now.
This is hurting.
And he throws up this pass to Adam Thielen. Patrick Robinson picks it off at the 50. Like they were rolling, man. I sound like John Gruden. They were rolling.
Yep.
And Case Keenum just makes a dumb pass in that spot.
Do they win a Super Bowl if Teddy never gets hurt?
I can't, here's the problem. From 2015 through 2019, the Vikings have been pretty good. Like, they've never been below 500. Their 2 worst seasons were 8-7-1 and 8-8.
But remember, the one thing that you can surmise accurately is this. For a good portion of that time, he remains on his rookie contract.
That's true.
And so you can go hog wild outside in free agency for a time period if you want.
Now, 2017, though, would he have been on the last year of that rookie contract?
He got drafted in what, 2013?
14, I believe, right?
15 was the Sam Bradford year. So 13 and 14 were his 2.
16 was.
Okay.
16 was Bradford.
15 was the second year, right?
4, 5, 6, 7 would have been his 4th year.
Okay. And the 5th year option gets exercised, which isn't as cheap as the other 4 years, but it's still quarterback paid cheap.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that it would have altered at least for a while your salary cap situation.
It's very interesting.
I think it's also important too because a lot of people when we had the conversation said, "What are you talking about?" Daunte almost won an MVP award in 2004. Teddy never came close, and that's not what we were arguing. It was the unknown of Teddy and him hopefully taking the next step in 2016 and beyond, that alternate reality. And also, could you put Daunte Culpepper's peak performance, so 2004, could you plop it into even 2016-17 on that team? And I think they win the Super Bowl too. That's another reality. But I think Daunte's game where he was in 2004 was relevant to quarterback play in 2020.
Yeah, Daunte Culpepper, if not for Peyton Manning going bonkers and breaking the record, Daunte Culpepper had an MVP season in 2004, which brings me to my next answer to your dual alternate realities here, okay?
Love it.
So we'd be talking about a healthy Daunte Culpepper from like 2006 through 2012.
Yeah,
Is sort of what I surmise here.
Hopefully, yeah.
Because so he was 28 years old when he went down with a knee injury.
Yep.
So let's say that doesn't happen. So I'm talking about ages like 29 through 35 as the Vikings starting quarterback. So he would have been the Vikings starting quarterback for like a decade plus.
Yep.
06 through like 2011, 2012. Daunte from 2000 through 2004 already had great offensive infrastructure. He had Randy Moss at his peak, pretty damn good offensive line. That team never had a problem scoring points, even though their defense was a disaster, right? I mean, like in the peak of the Daunte era, 03, 04, 04 was big season.
Team had, yeah.
They scored points with the best teams in the NFL, and it was just like their secondary was trash. They couldn't get after the quarterback.
Yep.
And they just weren't able to hold leads. Like they had to score 31 points just to have a chance to win a game in some of those seasons. So here's the thing. Like if you get to the Brad Childress era,
West Coast offense.
So different offense. Randy Moss is still gone.
Yes. Yeah. Everything stays the same. He's just your quarterback.
Bobby Wade is like your best wide receiver in 2007.
Yep.
So you're and the offensive line was pretty damn good throughout that period. You had Bryant McKinney, Matt Burke, like they had some good offensive linemen. Yep, Steve Hutchinson. So offensive line would have been good.
But he gets Peterson.
Wide receivers were gone. He gets Peterson.
I mean, there's just some interesting factors here.
Boy, and then he gets Jared Allen, the Williams wall.
Right, your defense
2008
goes
9.
up a notch.
So ultimately the question is, would Daunte Culpepper between 2006 and 2012 have taken the Vikings further than Brett Favre did in 2009? And my answer is no.
All right.
He does not. If you swap out Daunte Culpepper, no injury, playing at his best, I don't think the Vikings get to that game. Like I think Brett Favre was just a better quarterback in 2009 than Daunte could have been even at his peak. But the one thing that's interesting to explore, on the rollout to the right, Brett Favre throws across his body, the St. Detroit man, it's the Super Bowl, hat tip to our friend Paul.
Yeah.
Daunte Culpepper just runs for 15 yards and trucks a linebacker for a first down, and the Vikings kick a field goal and go to the Super Bowl.
Hopefully he doesn't fumble. He may have fumbled.
He might have
small
fumbled.
hands.
Small hands.
Those very big hands. Small hands.
But Daunte rolls out to the right
Yeah,
and sees
right.
open pastures. He ain't passing up open pastures.
Right.
He's running for a first down, and the Vikings kick a field goal. Would he
But
have
are they
had
there?
them in that spot?
But are they
I
there?
don't think they are. So I would say the better chance to win a Super Bowl would have been Teddy Bridgewater 2007. But the prospect of having a franchise quarterback for like 10 plus years and seeing the Daunte thing play out would have also been interesting. I just don't know if they would. Like the 08 team is another example. The 08 team went 10-6. They had T-Jack and Gus Frerotte as the quarterbacks.
Right.
If you put Daunte Culpepper in that mix, do they go 11-5, 12-4? Do they go further? These are fun. Yeah, this is fun exercise.
They beat
the Eagles.
They beat the Daunte Culpepper Oakland Raiders that year in 2008. That's right.
Yeah, that's like if we go through this alternate reality, is it like Back to the Future where like you have to avoid the other incarnations of Daunte Culpepper with the Detroit Lions?
The issue that I've
Dolphins.
Now, if Childress had been more flexible with how he ran his offense, though, I think Culpepper, if he played for him, would have had a better chance. But Brad was so wedded to his West Coast philosophies that I think that there would have been immediate friction, because I don't think Brad would have let Daunte be Daunte, which would have
just chucked the ball down the field, baby.
You know, Teddy was such a good fit for what the Vikings were doing at that time.
Yeah.
And the Vikings certainly had more sanity by that time. So if you're just talking about like curiosity and seeing quarterback play, Culpepper's up there because he was certainly a physical freak, and he was trucking linebackers long before Cam Newton was. But if you're talking about putting a guy in who was sort of the piece of the puzzle who got stripped out, it's Teddy.
Dude, I found it. It's the 08 season. The 08 season, we think about 09, right? 09 had legendary Drew Brees coming into his own and, Peyton Manning. And 08 in the NFC was mostly a disaster. You had Eli Manning was coming off a Super Bowl championship, and the Giants with Eli Manning were the team to beat in the NFC, which is like the least scary Super Bowl team of all time. Like that era Giants, much credit. You won 2 Super Bowls. You got hot twice in January. That's great. But this was your 2008 NFC. You had a 9-6-1 Eagles team at the end of that Donovan McNabb run, right?
Yep.
Because it was Donovan McNabb in 08, and then eventually
He started here, right?
he came here in like 2011 or 12 or something,
11,
right?
yeah.
So that's the team that beat you in the playoffs that year.
Yes.
You had
Asante Samuel.
You had a 12-4 Carolina Panthers team in the NFC South in 2008 with John Fox and Jake Delhomme as the starting quarterback. So again, like you had two 12-4 teams in the NFC that year that were just not scary at all. The Carolina Panthers and the New York Giants.
That was Jared Allen's first year here, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And the team that came out of the NFC and played in the Super Bowl and almost won it. Do you remember who represented?
Arizona.
The Arizona Cardinals.
In fact, I think the NFC Championship game was two wild card teams. I think both Philadelphia and AZ were wild card teams.
Actually, AZ was not a wild card team, but they went 9-7.
Went 9-7.
9-7. You had 9-7 versus 9-6-1.
AZ, I've never heard him referred to that before.
And the team that eventually won the Super Bowl was the Pittsburgh Steelers, which a good Pittsburgh Steelers team. But
that was a good Super Bowl.
But if you're telling me Daunte Culpepper, like if you were to take that 10-6 Vikings team with that defense and the Williams Wall and Jared Allen, et cetera, Antoine Winfield, right? Offensive line. And you replace Tavares Jackson and Gus Frerotte with a really good Daunte Culpepper, still like 30 or 31 years old with no injury. That team could have won the Super Bowl.
With AP in the backfield, too.
That team could have won the Super Bowl. 08 team could have won the Super Bowl. I changed my answer.
So you're saying
Daunte Culpepper in 2008, if the knee injury never had happened, the Vikings would have won the Super Bowl.
I hate to say this, for as good a personnel guy as Longwell and Sage have told us that Brad was, I think they would have undermined Culpepper by not allowing him to play his game. I think if you ask Daunte to flat out be a West Coast quarterback, I don't think it works. That's where I think Teddy in 17. I don't think if you were to flip out QBs for 2017 and put Teddy healthy, never busted his leg up, back in there, okay? And just take Case out. Case is the backup now. And Teddy plays that entire season. I think things play out almost identical to how they did with Case, except for what we're talking about is you get to the playoffs and you never blow the lead against the Saints. So the Minneapolis Miracle with Teddy Bridgewater never happens because you hold the lead the whole time, and then you go to Philadelphia and eke out an ugly victory.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all.
2008, I don't have faith in the coaching staff to have done the right thing with Culpepper to leverage